Zach, appreciate you coming back onto the podcast.
Man, it's so good to be back. I was laughing because the last time we did this, we did a crazy workout, then we jumped in a cold bath. So I feel like this is a much more relaxed version, right? Not rapid fire, sitting in like a -5-degree tub, right?
I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was great. Oh, I
great to
loved
get a
it.
pump on with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
But now we can actually sit back and
we can just chat.
Stronger, smarter, faster, healthier, better.
So I think it's really perfect that you're on now, especially with the time that we release this episode, just with everything that's happening with food and health. But before we get into that, I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, who are you today? Like, if someone asks you, where's your head at and where's your heart at right now, what would you answer?
It's a good question. I think right now for me, I'm in this stage as a young father, as an entrepreneur, where I'm trying to bring a bunch of different elements into my life and create some flow around some big complex elements, right? The elements of fatherhood mixed with being an individual and keeping individual identity mixed with supporting and growing a business and, supporting a community around that. I think when you start to try to pull all of those things together at one time, it can feel chaotic. It can feel a little bit like identity drifting, and you're kind of grasping at, like, who is Zach? Like, is Zach some 9-to-5 guy that's an entrepreneur now and then a dad after 5 o'clock? No, right? That my holistic identity is doing multiple things at any given time, and so I think right now I'm in this season of just trying to find that sort of alignment and integrity with bringing different facets of my life together and seeing how they kind of seamlessly fit, and then creating some type of emotional, spiritual, energetic flow around that because, I've got a theory that, like, the best version of myself is going to be the best father. It's going to be the best entrepreneur. It's going to be the best friend. It's, it's all synergistic. And so, yeah, just in a moment of time where I'm trying to, like, piece all those things together and try to do them with some grace and, be an alpha while I'm at it, right?
Yeah, I like that. So I feel like I am in the season of, it's going to sound very contradictory, but it's how I feel is I'm feeling the most stressed out I've ever been, but I'm feeling the most peace I've ever been at. But I think that's because I'm doing everything I've ever wanted. You know what I mean? I'm having a podcast with interesting people and really, like, diving into things that interest me. I'm busy with the business. I'm trying to, be obviously the best father, husband I can be, the best friend, all that stuff. Do you find that there can be peace with hustle?
Yeah. I think it might be the only way.
It's interesting because I don't know if you see this, but a lot of hustle is like, you heard of the winter arc or tunnel vision, turn all these things off. But I actually find that the more peace I have, the more direct I can be with what I want.
Sure.
And before, I used to be very motivated on, like, anger. I would just get it and put it through somewhere, right? Or I felt like I had to be motivated by, like, something else, and that could be only in on it. But I feel like this is the most, like, centered I've been. Do you feel like you've gotten there? Do you feel like you've always known how to get there?
I don't think that I've gotten there. I think peace is a bit of an elusive goal that I'm always striving to achieve, and I'm okay with that. I'm finding peace with chasing peace. I think it's an interesting thought of this sort of dichotomy or balance between the most stressed and the most at peace. And I resonate a lot with that, right? That's a big part of my world. And I think you and I share a lot of those similarities that way, in that you have a whole set of goals and desires and this version of you that needs to get after it, but it's all aligned with some deeper purpose, right? Whether it's family, whether it's an inner part of yourself that, something that you want to accomplish, a potential that you want to live up to. And so when you start to kind of combine those worlds, I always remind myself, like, that I asked for this, like that I asked for this life, And so when I have moments of chaos, I can look at the face of chaos and be like, I asked for you, right? This is a part of what and then in the moments of peace, I can also do the same, because that's a part of my unified ethos. As I mentioned before, it's like taking all of these different elements of myself and trying to unify that. And I mean, the other concept of sort of, I'm not going to know peace unless I know chaos, right? How we're very perspective human beings. I don't know light if I don't know dark. So I need to wade into the fire. I need to, get the grind and the hustle a little bit to understand what it is to take a deep breath and enjoy presence with my family or whatever else that means.
That reminds me of something Chris Bumstead said, that you can't numb sadness and have happiness. You need to be able to be open to both.
Yeah.
Right? To really enjoy that, the happiness that the pendulum may swing, but it'll swing right back as long as you manage your emotions.
Yeah.
Right? I think right now that we're very much in a spot where, like, especially with like the alpha culture, like, it's almost funny how every guy who says, "Oh, I'm an alpha male, you should do this," is like doing things that are very not the trait of an alpha male, right? And the ones who are, in my opinion, people I know out there in the world, are just being, just doing, right? So it's just so interesting how they're very much about, but these, I very much subscribe to the idea that you're allowed and you should feel the emotions you need to feel, but also like learn to compartmentalize, manage, and feel it when it's the right time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're about to go into an office in a meeting, whatever, something happened, like manage it, and then maybe go to your person or go to yourself if you ever, or if you're like a person of God, go to faith and have that conversation, be open to that emotion, right? I really think that's something that people should dive into more.
Do you think men are doing a good job of that right now?
No. Yeah. It's funny because it's like, I wanted to ask you, what do you think it's going to take for men specifically, because I can't speak on women, men specifically, to just be more at peace?
Man, I don't know. I have the answers to this, but I can speak for myself. It is a process of honoring the swing in the pendulum when stuff does get tough. Surrounding myself with a community of individuals that don't need to see Zach as a superhero every single day and can honor the pendulum swing with me. And so if I need to reach out to Norm and be like, dude, I'm not having a good day today. It's just where I'm at. Am I going to be better tomorrow? Yeah, I will. It's not the end of the road, but like, can you just hold that for a second? And I think one of the things that maybe might move the needle on this is when you and I sit down and have a conversation as men, that we allow space for that, right? That we don't just sit with our chest puffed out and demand, alpha hustle grind mentality. It's like we look each other in the face and go like, how's it going, man? You all right? How's the family? How's being a dad? Like that type of thing. If we start to honor that a little bit more, I feel like that's going to move the needle culturally. I think it's happening. I mean, the optimist in me says it's happening. I see men that are having vulnerable conversations, that are getting into their emotional selves, that are, getting comfortable with that. It's scary when a society has incentivized us to operate in a certain way for so long, right? Don't show the heart on the sleeve. You put your head down, you provide, you build, don't show the weight that you're carrying. And, I think there's vulnerability there's strength in vulnerability.
I do agree with that 100%. But let me ask you, so there's these places and these like retreats and stuff like that to help men, right? With that. But where is that line where they're taking advantage, of men who are in distress and actually helping? You know what I mean? Yeah, and you've seen these, I'm using this just as a quotation, but like a man camp or like an alpha camp. But like you see these and they're like, is it really helping them, or are they just taking their money? And like how, if someone who's listening or watching right now wants to do better and is incentivized by these kind of camps or traditions, like how can you know, in your opinion, that this is not phony?
I think this comes down to individual discernment and where everybody is at as an individual in any given moment. It's probably easy for you and I to look at certain containers, if you will, and say, oh, that looks a little soft, or that looks like it's taking advantage, or this looks like it's posturing. And in my experience, when I've heard people come out of various events and camps and things, and they have life-changing, transformative experiences through this. And so who am I to take away from the individual's experience? It may not be for me. My own judgment may have clouded my view of, what that is for somebody else. But, there is a time and place maybe for those to exist for somebody out there. And I love the idea of like, if it's helping one person, then we've done our job, right? Like we've moved the needle a little bit for one dude. I will say that we do need to, as men, we need to walk through life with a certain standard of integrity. And if you are a person that's creating something, it is important that you hold that integrity for the community that you're creating. So here at the gym, if you have a culture that you believe in and that is the foundation of what you're trying to build, or a podcast that you have a foundation of what you're trying to build, you want to protect that. And I think as leaders, we need to have some integrity about holding the line and saying, this is our standard. We don't come off of it. We don't sell phony. We don't overcommit. We deliver on the promises that we say we're going to do, and we do so with clarity, transparency, integrity, all those masculine traits that I think at the end of the day people can look at it in authenticity, just being like a real guy and being like, look, man, like, hey, you're allowed to show up however you want, but if you feel like you're acting from some place of inauthenticity and it's not the real you sitting down and having a conversation across from the other guy, then like check yourself. Right? So the best I got, yeah, probably.
I do agree with that. What's a chapter of your life most people wouldn't guess shaped the person you are today?
It's probably when I was at my objective highest in terms of what the world might see as objective success. 27 years old, the vice president of a massive, transportation company, supply chain company, the name on the business card, the life that you might think is like the corporate bro, like I'm winning at this.
Corporate bro, I love that.
Flying around everywhere and going to restaurants and sports games and stuff. If somebody were to have looked at that at that moment and said, oh, Zach's really got his shit together, but then understood that was or became my biggest teacher in terms of, what I didn't want in my life. Right. Yeah.
How did you pivot that?
Through suffering, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know when you were doing all that, like, this feels great. I have the card. I'm flying around. I'm being able to provide financially, but there's something missing. Did you feel that right away, or later on there's something that clicked? No,
God doesn't. God whispers until He doesn't. And if we're not tapped into the voice of God and listening to that intuition when He's whispering, He's gonna yell. And unfortunately, as humans, at least for me, I'm a stubborn son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I don't listen.
That's okay. I
don't listen. Right. I'm getting better at listening to that inner voice, to that thing that creaks at my foundation. Goes, dude, this isn't all of you. This isn't what you have the potential to be. This isn't serving you, right? And finding ways to be a better listener when life is telling you this is not what you're meant for. You're on a certain path. And God had to yell, man.
And did he yell hard?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. For me, that showed up as crippling anxiety, as depression, as just this kind of life crisis of like, what am I doing here? And an identity crisis along with that, and my physical body following suit. The body keeps the score on all of this stuff, man, from a health perspective, right? And so all of these signs and symptoms had to show up and crash down on life a little bit for me to wake up and say, okay, I need to make some changes.
How do you personally blend being a man of faith and having spirituality?
So I like to think of God having many faces in one heart, and that God shows up in so many different facets of our life. And I use God, that's the word I'm comfortable with, right? Universe, spirit, whatever you want to subscribe to. But that God has many faces in one heart. And that means that I have the ability to see God, to see the mystery of life, to see some cool magic that's happening in life everywhere around me at any given time, and know that it centers back to one thing, right? And centers back to myself and how I can, operate through the world at some level of peace, right? And purpose. I don't always have great clarity on that. Like I said, I'm learning to listen better and to honor the magic, just honor the beauty and the experience of connecting with just a great dude and sitting down. There's magic here. There's God in that, and so how can I pull that love that I feel from sitting here and having a conversation with you and bring that into my life as kind of a single source?
I love that. Well, talk to me about your injury that happened a bit ago. How did that happen, and how was the rehab process?
Rehab's been good, man. So I had a double...
Still a strong dude, though. I watch you on Instagram. I'm like, this guy still has it, though. He got injured.
I do my best, man. I'm just trying to keep up. But I had a double meniscus surgery recently, about 6 weeks ago, and it's been something. So I had an ACL that was done maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I had a full ACL blow, and that rehabbed really well. And then just over time, degeneratively, like the meniscus started to break down, as well as the MCL. And so it was one of those things where I was, kind of like ignoring it again, not listening really well, pushing through. I've got this. And then it starts to affect, performance, right? Can't run with the kids, can't, go for the mountain bike ride I wanted to go for, can't play hockey the way I wanted to. And so I had to, I had to listen. I had to slow down, get in a season of just, healing and repairing myself. And super fortunate. Surgeries went really, really well. And and then you hit the recovery train with every single thing I can possibly imagine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
How long? So, did you have like a protocol when it comes to rehab, supplementation? Did you map out exactly what you wanted to do to get back to full strength?
Big time. Yeah. So prehab, I found it was one of the most important things. So I never stopped moving my knee, strengthening my leg, moving up to the surgery. Right. So I've got a couple of months to know when that's going to happen. Let's keep the leg strong. Started on the peptide protocol coming into the surgery. So prior to the surgery, BPC 157 and the TB 500 combo. So started that early, went into the surgery, and then immediately post surgery, obviously continued with the peptides, focused on an incredibly high protein diet, supplemented collagen, both through a supplement format and through bone broth, right? So literally the moment out of the hospital, had a nice warm, cup of bone broth. All over, and then compression, like a compression boot, with it's like a cold compression thing that locks you in, and red light therapy to supplement. It was just back and forth, tossing in all those modalities and then into the traditional kind of like physio type of stuff. Yeah. It was interesting too. So this is like a total aside, and I don't know if you've ever sort of messed with this and how you use the tool, but I use ChatGPT to build a custom protocol for me, a custom rehab protocol. And I would put in all the inputs it needed in terms of, where I'm at in my recovery. And it was helping me just create a basic framework. Obviously I got to execute it, but that was a really interesting experience for me, building a kind of a custom protocol to take care of this.
How did you prompt that? I'm very curious how you prompt that. All right, guys, we'll get back to the podcast, but I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to our sponsors, Northern Hydration. So it's a Canadian company. They sell electrolytes. They have lemon, they have lime, they have orange. My favorite is the orange. It's one of the best flavors in my opinion. But use our discount code GETALPHA10. Other than that, let's get back to the episode.
I have a general ChatGPT prompt where I don't take a lot of BS from ChatGPT. I don't need the fluff. So I've already...
So what does that mean? You don't take the fluff from me. What do you mean by that?
So this large language model, it's so, I mean, this stuff is moving so fast, and I'll be the first to say I'm no, like, you know, I'm not an expert on this, but I have recognized some patterns. One of the patterns I've recognized is circular reasoning, or circular fluffing your ideas, basically, right? So I can prompt ChatGPT to think that basically everything I say is a great idea. Go on ChatGPT, type in some wild idea that you've got, and it's going to respond with like, hey, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. You know, can I build a protocol for you? Can I help you design that? Would you like a template? And so I cut that out. I've prompted ChatGPT to be hypercritical, to no emojis. I don't have any emojis on my ChatGPT. I don't want it to affirm my bias. I've asked it to be a critical thinker over and over and over again, and now it just spits hard facts at me, right? And so I ask it to be incredibly critical with me, just to make sure that I'm not giving it too much, too much love.
No, that's fair. I went for a sushi with a buddy the other day, and I said, "Man, you look good." And he's like, "Yeah, I asked Chat I was at 205, now I'm at 185." He's like, Chat's taking your job. And then we laughed, and I said, but the one thing I think that for sure that Chat won't be able to do is the accountability. The accountability when it comes to like human interaction, just in the basis of training, right? Because like him and you, like you're very much different creatures. Like in the sense of like you'll have an outline wherever even if it was years ago, if you saw something over, let's say, Men's Health, like when it was good, you probably would have like directed it properly because you're that guy. But some people need a little bit more accountability, right? A little bit more human touch in the sense of like texting you like, hey, how's the food today? How was this? A little bit more compassion than that. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious. I'll throw the question right back at you.
Yeah.
Like, so you and I came from this generation of searching bodybuilding.com forums.
Yeah,
and
Simply Shredded.
Simply Shredded, Men's Health.
Yeah.
Right? These were our sources. And then we had to do the work of translating that into actual work in the gym. Do you think now, I mean, you're in this world, much more deeply than I am, like, you've got ChatGPT that can roll out a plan for you. You've got a GLP-1 that can strip fat off you from a peptide perspective, right? Take the next Ozempic down the thing.
Yeah.
But we're somehow, in my opinion, and tell me what you think about this, we're bypassing the human emotive process of taking a piece of inspiration and information and then translating it through discipline and execution to actually show your ass up in the gym. And maybe to your point, that's like the missing link, is that it's the accountability. And I don't know, like for our kids, what their generation is going to look like when we have a whole, wave of humans that just thinks, AI takes care of that for me, and I take an Ozempic shot, once a week, and I just don't have to like take accountability for my life.
Well, I agree with you, but to add on to that, I had a client who is pretty high up in the corporate world, and it was so hard to see her. I would text her like twice a week, and we'd try to get it in, and she drilled her doctor over and over again about taking Ozempic. And she's like, the doctor, which was a little harsh, or maybe not harsh, she's like, I don't think you need Ozempic. Like, I think you need a therapist to like talk about how stressed you are, right? You need to talk to a person. And anyway, she pushed it, and she got Ozempic and lost a ton of weight. But the thing is, like, there's no due diligence there, right? Like, I know it's lame and I know it's not sexy, but it is true. The person who enjoys the walk will walk longer than the person who just wants a destination, right? She didn't understand nutrition. She didn't understand proper micronutrients. She didn't understand how food is fuel. You can enjoy it. You can enjoy delicious food, but it is fuel. You know what I mean? Like, people have this thing where carbs are so bad. It's so bad for your brain. We're going to do intermittent fasting. But carbs can also be used, complex carbs, great carbs, for your brain and for you to be like push forward. That's what these like ultra marathon runners take, so they can like push forward. So I think you're skipping all of this to get the end result. And at the end of the day, when you get off of that, are you going to have the same habits?
Yeah.
Right? How many people have you seen who changed their life and like it's almost like because they became more disciplined person, maybe they became a more disciplined person when it came to like relationships with their significant other or whatever. It's fitness and nutrition and wellness is not just in the gym.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen countless amount of people who become thinner or more jacked, and in turn became more confident at their job, or became a better partner, or better at just more love for themselves. And I think, even though I think there's a place for all those things, let's take it to the other side, HRT. You know, I know guys who are like 60 or whatever, and they go through a doctor and they did everything. That makes sense for me. They're doing it the right way, you know, and they're still eating healthy and still moving, and that's okay. I think if you're taking the steps to not lessen who you are as a character.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I feel about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think we're going to get very quickly.
Sorry, Aaron has a question.
On how the use of ChatGPT and LLMs in people's lives, right? Like, I think it's going to end up being on a spectrum, in that some people are going to overuse it and rely on it too much and get basically effing lazy. Like, that's what because I have a lot of clients from different kind of businesses and wealth spectrums, right? And I'm finding it's people. For some people using it, they might have had imposter syndrome before, and they don't really realize how much they know. But then they're using the LLMs and they're talking to this AI on an hourly basis, and they're going, man, I know more about this than the AI is coming up with, even in deep research. And it's giving them more confidence, and they're reaching more. But then I have other people I work with where it's like, okay, you're a little too confident and you're not using AI enough. I can tell you're not even like, you just sent me a question that you could have typed into an LLM and had it answered in 10 seconds, right? And so what am I going to do? I'm going to put your question in, have it write the response, and just email it back to you. Like, you're not using it to the spectrum. I think it's a spectrum. Some people, it's going to make them effing lazy, but their quality of work's going to go down. And then other people are realizing, like, I am not an imposter. Like, I am an expert. Like, because the LLM can't even kind of, like, I'm having to correct it on a daily or on an hourly basis, right? So it's bringing the people that didn't have the confidence and that were not sure of themselves up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's just narrowing the field.
On the positive, I think, you know, to use tools is narrowing the competency gap, right? And that's cool. As human beings, we are built to evolve to use tools in order to, you know, bring things forward in our lives. And I think, you know, to your point though, there is some type of, at some point in this process, so you can use an Ozempic, you can use a ChatGPT, you can fast track, you can use an HRT, but at some point in this process, we gotta do the human thing of embodying the change and having that work at a psychological level, because you are still having a human experience. I'm sorry, straight up you are.
For sure.
Technology is not going to insulate you from the human experience when grief shows up at your door or something crazy happens. What, you're going to go to ChatGPT and talk that through? And I mean, the stats are scary how people are using, you know, these things as a therapist, right?
Sure.
You know, but you are going to, I just believe that you are going to be missing something, and we have to honor the human experience too. I want to live this life, man. I want to live this life as a human being. I don't want to be fully handcuffed to ChatGPT or my Ozempic shot or my HRT to say that this is the only way that I can achieve the version of myself that I want to be.
I agree. I saw a quote somewhere, and it said basically, wow, I just showed something I wrote to someone, and the first thing they said was, did you put that in chat? And then it was like ... human creativity is dying. And it's like, I didn't really think about that, because it is a joke. It's like, did chat do that? Did chat do that? And it's sad that like that's like a thing now. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think AI or chat is like, it's an amazing tool to use, but so hard not to take advantage of and be lazy with certain things. You know what I mean?
I think we're going to see a little bit of a trend relatively quickly. We talked a little bit about like men's events and things like this, where people are craving human connection.
For sure.
When you have to question when something's coming from a machine or whether it's coming from a human, you get a happy birthday from a buddy and it's like, that was really nicely written. Did chat write that? Or are you actually reaching out to me to say happy birthday, buddy? I think we're going to see this kind of reversion back to nature, to human interaction, to experience. You're already seeing, especially in the wellness field, you're seeing experiential wellness on a massive surge. Run clubs. God, there's a run club every corner I look at. Because people want a human experience. They want human interaction. They don't just want to sit behind ChatGPT. As much as every single one of them is using it as a tool in some facet of their lives, they still show up on a Saturday morning to run with some buddies because we're humans.
And accountability.
Yeah.
And accountability. Okay, let's get a little bit into the meat of things. All right?
Nice.
For the average person who doesn't understand the difference, what really separates conventional meat from pasture-raised, grass-fed, ethically sourced protein?
Great question. Okay, so we can think about, I know the last time around we talked about sort of the pillars that we follow as a company: natural, sustainable, ethical, and local. And so you can use those as a bit of a guide to differentiate between two types of sort of meat production or meat sourcing, right? So number one, at a natural level, is the animal being raised in a species-specific environment, being fed a species-specific diet? Right? It's just a really simple question.
Okay.
So if your cattle are being moved to a feedlot and force-fed corn mash, XX, well, like, you know, wrong on both fronts. There's a great kind of delineation between conventional versus naturally raised, right? When you look at the sustainability of something, are you working with small scale producers versus, you know, massive factory farming, right? Great way to kind of differentiate. And that can go, you know, down the line. Is that kind of
no?
Just a
I
really
get it.
kind of framework of that?
Yeah, I like that. Just because, like, I feel like, and we'll get into it, I just feel like people are starting, which I think is great, pay more attention to, is like, where's this chicken coming from? Where is this coming from? And I think you're the best person to ask is like, what questions should a person ask if they're trying to find the right meat or eggs or something? You know what I mean? Like, you know, I very much don't know myself. Like these eggs are brown. Does that mean they're better? Like, you know what I mean? Like I want to know, and I will always pay more for great meat than anything else. You know, if I not to name drop, but if I go to like Superstore and it's like, oh, these steaks are on sale for like $25 for two, I'm like, let's look at it. Maybe I'll go to a butcher shop instead. One, I'd rather support a business owner, a local business owner or farm, and two, like, I don't know, meat you just don't want to mess with, even though they are right now.
Yeah.
How are they messing with it, Zach? Let's chat about that.
Yeah, so it's obviously been pretty popular in the news that Health Canada was introducing cloned meat into the Canadian food system. And so let's define that quickly, right? So clones, when you think about clones, I don't know if you think about Star Wars or something crazy like that, but essentially...
I do think of the Clone Wars, yes.
Yeah. So we are talking about something called somatic cloning, which is essentially taking a desired gene trait or a genetic sequence in an animal, and we are synthesizing that. We are dropping it into a fertilization process, and then we're implanting that sequestered DNA into a surrogate mother to then birth a cloned offspring. So I'll just bring it into real world. You have a cow that has the perfect genetics for fat versus lean protein versus the health of the animal, right? Any genetics that would, you know, predispose them to any type of illness, and you know, an animal that's just going to be able to get to market as fast as possible, a highly developed gene, right? So we take the genetics out of that animal and we essentially stick them in a petri dish and fertilize an egg, and then we implant the egg into you know, a surrogate mother, and birth out an identical clone of that first cow.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And like what pushed them to, in your opinion, what pushed them into doing that?
This is business. You follow the money, right? If we can create an animal that, if I could give you an employee that could knock out the highest level of productivity every single time for you, and I could just replicate that over and over and over again, would you not want 10 of those employees, right? That's the same idea with a cow, right? If we can get something to market that is, gets fat and tasty and stays relatively healthy for a intense life period, and then we can just chop that and do it all over again. This is the business of food at play, where we are creating highly genetically modified animals that fit the business need of our consumer driven market.
And I don't know if I'm wrong on this, so I don't want to speak, but do they not have to label that it's cloned? Did I read that right, or was that?
Well,
they don't have. Like, I know that's ridiculous, but it's not like clone steak, real steak. Like what?
It's not ridiculous.
Are they? Because that's rolling out like next month or something like that, right?
So the good news is, as of today, or as of 2 days ago, I think, Health Canada, because of the public backlash, has actually pulled back this program.
Oh, okay,
right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I did a post about this earlier today, whereas helping people understand that when you demand better of your food system, and when you are an active participant, people say, well, what does it really matter? We had this Kellogg's thing where people were going after Kellogg's for the Fruit Loops, right? And the red dyes in Fruit Loops, right? And then this whole thing. And why does that really matter? Is Kellogg's ever going to change? They're just a big old bad food company feeding us poison or whatever. And so I'm just not going to buy Kellogg's. And what does it really matter, right? It does matter, right? Because your consumer voice matters when it comes to regulatory changes in your food. You think the biggest food conglomerates, they listen to you and I when we stop spending our money at Superstore.
It's a business, as you said.
On crap food, right? So the government of Canada has pulled back this policy. The whole idea, and really the outcry of this, was that the labeling was going to be a unregulated, unlabeled rollout.
Okay.
So you wouldn't know, staring at two steaks, which came from a genetically cloned nucleotide, or which came from just a regular good old fashioned normal cow.
Yeah.
And so that was really the outcry there. So fortunately, we've seen the rollback in this. But it should highlight, for any conscious consumer, this should highlight what the food system at large is willing to do, how fast it can happen, how it will never make a news headline, and it will just sort of slip in under the radar, and you have no idea as a consumer. And we deserve better than that.
I agree. But so why do you think this is? I mean, you explained it a little bit, but why do you think people should be very concerned about this? Like, people are like, oh, that's crazy, but it's like, no, this is actually very concerning. And why do you think they should have critical thinking when it comes to this?
I mean, pick your level. Like, food is medicine, number one. It's what fuels your body. It's what gives you life force in this world. It gives life force to you and your children and your family. That's an important thing. For me, that's number one. It's like, selfishly, I deserve to eat really well. Number two, I think from a political standpoint, we need to demand accountability out of our government. We need to demand transparency. If our government is allowing large food conglomerates to just dictate the rules to us, and you and I just don't somehow get a say in what ends up on the shelves and ultimately in our kitchens, I don't agree with that, right? So it matters on those levels. It matters on the level of if you do care about the food chain and being a part of the food chain, the way that animals are cared, treated for, raised, ultimately the end of life. That's a process. We have to honor the end of life. If you want to be conscious to any of that, you should care about the regulations that are put in place, the things that are allowed to hit the shelves.
I fully agree. And then it gets to that point of like, are we just losing what makes us human and real, and what is real? Like I don't know. It's very sad, and it's very concerning, and you almost feel like do I do something about this? Do I like? The good thing is that kind of stuff. And this is like, I guess, a shameless plug for you, but like that kind of stuff makes people, and I hope makes people be like, who can I support, or what can I support that are doing what I think is the right thing, right? And I think that's at least pushing people to do that, right? And I think that's good.
You're gonna make time and prioritize the things that are important to you.
Yeah.
Right. And if I know many people, there are very few. I have this conversation a lot. There are very few people that one-to-one would ever say, I don't really care about what I put in my body. Right. The odd, guy that's just like,
It's kind of crazy though.
Yeah, but it is crazy. So very few people will ever, say, I really don't care about what I eat. Most people are somewhat aware of the food that they're consuming and how it makes them feel. If that is at all important to you, be aware of this. Demand something a little bit better like that. Man, it's not the craziest concept to think go meet a local farmer. And if it's too much for you to drive to wherever north and rural country, there are services that will vet it out for you. Find people that are invested in this on your behalf. Find a source that you trust, and put your money there.
Do you know of anything else that they're trying to push, or there have been rumblings of things? Because first it was a dye, and I do agree. I know it's a big I don't need to see that red licorice is red. You know what I mean? I don't need to see that. I don't care. It's fine. Fruit Loops things if it tastes like it is, it's fine. I don't need dye. Do you know, or is there anything you've read that is other things that they're trying to? Because I find that they're always trying to slip things under. Right. Do you know any of that?
Well, I think it's maybe helpful to kind of back up and take a bit of a state of the union about where our health is currently at from a food perspective and where the real world impacts hit. And then we can kind of work backwards in the system once we kind of see and acknowledge what's happening. So, for example, close to 50% of our country has an underlying chronic disease, right? The big four horsemen of heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune conditions. These are plaguing close to 50% of our country, if not a little bit more. We also know that 50% of a child's diet is coming from ultra-processed foods. That's insane, right? So we are feeding our kids poison, wondering why obesity, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, heart disease are on the rise, and then sitting there like, oh, maybe we'll throw Ozempic at it to hope that fixed the problem, right?
Pharmaceuticals, yeah.
Pharmaceuticals, and then you start to get into, when you talk about, am I aware of things that are kind of slipped in under the radar? It's not so much that there's these sneaky little things that are being slipped in. Take a look at how cyclical this system is together, because if I can feed you ultra-processed food that leaves you a little bit sick, a little bit tired, a little bit hungry, you're going to come back for more. Well, if you eat a bag of chips, you're going to go and purchase a can of Coke because that's going to get that itch. Oh, you had a sugar crash from that can of Coke, you're going to run to Starbucks and grab a caffeinated drink. Oh, you're drinking 3-4 coffees a day and your gut's a mess, you're going to head to Shoppers Drug Mart and you're going to pick up a thing of Pepto-Bismol and you're going to jug that. Oh, crazy, we've killed all the gut bacteria. Now you're going to go see your GP and they're going to, introduce whatever. Now your gut health is a mess and your mental health is gone. Well, guess what, Norm? We got a pill for that. And you see how this cycle, this machine turns and how it's all interconnected, right? And if there's a goal that I have in life or a passion that I have in life, it's just sticking a pin in this giant cog geared wheel to say, hold up. If we just stopped and recognized that these things are all interconnected and that our health is being dictated for us and we are outsourcing our health to people who don't have our best interests at heart, we can combat this system, and we don't have to combat it with expensive or far-reaching crazy biohacks or anything like that. It's literally getting control of what's happening in your kitchen, right? It's getting your kids involved with you and being like, hey guys, we're going to eat some whole food, like some real food that has one name and it's broccoli, and that's all it is. It's just broccoli, right?
Yeah.
That is not an unreachable goal. And so I think, it's not so much, are there little conspiracies and digs and things? Sure. Can we look at the political system and see all kinds of...
Yeah, there always will be.
Yeah, there will always be a pound of flesh there to pull. You can take your energy and you can dedicate it towards seeking out the conspiracy and all the little things, or you can take the exact same amount of energy and dedicate it to reclaiming the food, the power about what you're putting in your body and the food that you're consuming.
I agree. Okay, so next thing, you started a podcast.
Yeah.
Let's chat about that. You started a podcast. So how did that start? That's so cool, man. I listened to all of them. Actually, we got one of our guests because you did so well on with Brandon from yeah,
dude.
So I listened to that podcast and I was like, oh, this is, like I thought you did a great job as an interviewer.
Thank you.
And so I was like, okay, let me reach out to this guy. So like, what was the process of you like? When did you want to start that? And what are some things you had to learn along the way of starting that?
Yeah, it was a passion project for me, and we'll do a season 2.
Love it.
It's I don't think I'll ever do it at the level of professionalism that you do, and you guys are killing it. But to me, it was. I'm so blessed to have so many incredible people in my life. Interesting people, passionate people, just people doing really cool stuff that know a lot of great things about so many cool things. And so it was just a matter of me wanting to share the little conversations, the idea of like, I have these conversations every day. Wouldn't it be cool if you were just a fly on the wall? And wouldn't I love to bring, my community along with me as I get to meet incredible, amazing people? So that was kind of the idea. It's like, hey, how can we tell great stories about what other interesting people are doing in life that can maybe add some little nugget of wisdom to somebody's health journey? We tried to keep it pretty health tailored, and just to add a little bit more value, through the Northern Raised channel, because for me, it's like Northern Raised is not. I'm not just trying to sell you another box of meat. Like, I appreciate that support, and that's like the engine that supports our business. But we've built a community. We built a community of like-minded people that care about where their food's coming from, care about their health, are invested in that. And so if I could just add a bit of value in that process, that's kind of where the idea came from. And like podcasting, man, I mean, the tech of it, like, learning like how to operate,
what did you use for, cause you did, online stuff, which was, we're going to dive into that next year. Like, what did you research to look into that? That's so cool. I thought you did very well with everything.
I appreciate that, man. I used Riverside.
Okay, cool.
Super clean, super seamless. It just, I don't know, it takes all the things for you, creates podcast notes, it launches it all for you. And then our social girl, she did all of the like promo stuff. She did such an amazing job at like putting everybody's face on a nice template and
cool.
Sharing it out. So yeah, it was cool, man. Like just putting together some of that more creative elements. And then I think, as you, I'm sure, resonate with, like, it's just fun to sit down and have a good conversation.
Yeah, especially if somebody like interests you, because you're like, selfishly, this is for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to understand this. Is there a guest that really stood out? Is there a guest that you were a little nervous about?
Not nervous. Guests that stood out, they all stood out.
I know. It's like asking your favorite one, but
yeah,
what's something that you really resonated with you?
So Brandon from Paradigm, that is a human that knows a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff.
We had to do a 2-parter.
Oh, I bet you did.
Because we're like, I don't think we have enough time.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy blew me away from a knowledge perspective. I follow up with him regularly. I take Methylene Blue.
Sponsor of the podcast.
Beautiful. So that's been a very cool kind of conversation that just keeps flowing, and it's very cool to hear somebody operate with that level of knowledge about a specific, kind of container of stuff.
Yeah.
My goodness, that was one for me where speaking with him immediately turned on my brain to like keep up, where I was like, oh, I gotta run with this.
Yeah, 100%. I think what was scary about him too is that he was so knowledgeable, but he spoke so calmly.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, and this is the reason why this and this, and I'm like, dude, that, like, you said like so many things in one sentence, and it's like, I don't know, I'm like, you're such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how there's a little bit of a boost when it comes to like Methylene Blue right now. So people are asking me about it.
What's your experience been?
Really good. Stacy calls it blue juice. It bothers me so much, and I don't know why. I'm taking
my kids call it too.
Yeah. But so I find when I take about 30 drops a day, it's more of a cognitive boost. Very minor, but good. I find when I take around 50. Not that I have gut issues, but everything is just flowing a lot better. When I've been messaging Brandon here and back, but I've been playing around with like 100 drops, 115 drops.
Okay.
So the days in the summer when I would do like 2-a-days, or if it was like 30 plus degrees, I'd go for a run. I said, hey, I just did weight training. I'm going to go for like a 5K. I'm going to work on speed. How many drops do you suggest I try with? And he's like, well, up to your discretion, but I mean, you can play around with 100, 115. When I took 110, I think I took 110, it was like, I explained this and it's so silly, but it felt like I was absorbing the sun and using it for like ATP.
And that was the Blue Hulk.
I felt like, I was like, this has gotta be placebo, right? So I kept on doing it, and I felt like things were just being absorbed so much better. And I understand because it attaches to the mitochondria, right?
Yeah.
The powerhouse cells. So like everything else beyond that is stronger. And even Stacy, she went to Florida and she took it and she didn't burn, right?
It was like crazy because I talked to him before I went.
Interesting.
And I like to run when I go down there just because it's so hot, and that's the only time I'll voluntarily run. And he told me, he's like, try it in the morning and see. It's the first time in my entire life, and I've been going to Florida forever, that I have not burned.
That's cool.
I was like, I was on the phone. I was like, this is crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else would it be in sort of a similar bucket of supplements that have been impactful for you that maybe like, I don't know if we call it on the fringe, but like, that are like a little, like, they're a little bit
right.
fringe. Like, is there anything else for you that you've been messing with?
The best, there's no best, but it's spoken over and over again, but like creatine.
Yeah.
Creatine. I don't like how it's going into gummies.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how much is actually in this gummy?
Right.
You know what I mean? But I understand how it can be, like, if it's a great source, then you could, like, if you know, like, for example, like Liam, we're peak human, like, I trust Liam. You know what I mean? I trust that he's going to find the right things. But if it was, like, something over Amazon, I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's one of the supplementation to me is like meat. It's like, I will pay that extra money to know that it's third party tested, to know that it's like actually the right dosages and everything like that, and the right facility where it's like not being mixed with stuff. Creatine, I really like Self-Flow 6. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
So I know the owner, Mateo. So he was in a horrible accident, and he needed a lot of rehab and stuff like that. And he basically took an extract out of green tea leaves and created Self-Flow 6. And basically what it does is increases blood flow like so much. So originally he was actually using this to combat Cialis and Viagra. That's how strong it was.
Wow.
Because it's a natural product, right? I'll see if I can get some sent to you from him because he's a great guy. But he uses it specifically for recovery. So if he's going to bed, he'll take like 300 milligrams of Self-Flow 6. Or if it's after a workout, or obviously if you're a bodybuilder, you're trying to chase that pump, he'll take like 1 gram of like Self-Flow 6. So I've used that. And it's great for your heart health. Great for your heart health. I'll send you some studies on it.
Yeah,
but
cool.
It's relatively, I would say fair priced for what it is. But I think that has been really, really good. I try to tell everybody about Self-Flow 6.
Interesting.
It's getting to the point too where supplements like pre-workouts are actually starting to use it because it's stronger than it's getting to be stronger than L-citrulline.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. So I find that's been really good. And honestly, right now, that's all I'm taking.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I'm taking. I think it's important to have vitamins and stuff like that, especially now with winter.
Yeah.
So there's been like no sun.
Yeah.
So what does your supplementation look like right now?
I'm pretty basic, man. For me, it's 5 to 8 grams of creatine daily. I typically try to time that around workouts, just for delivery standpoint. Big fan of I take about 200 milligrams of magnesium bicarbonate or biglycinate. Sorry,
Biglycinate. Yeah.
Just before bed, and I also pair that with 25 milligrams of zinc for testosterone support. Other than that, a little bit of protein powder every once in a while, just to kind of keep the my like
uptake.
protein ratio high. The peptides have been great for the injury, and I'll tapering off of that now as the knee's getting stronger, but still have to kind of understand the place that plays in my kind of overall fitness thing. And then like to your point, like immune stuff, like just good old quality vitamin D, K2, right? Slam those. It was I heard a great, it was like an Instagram meme or something that said, it's not cold and flu season, it's be indoors with no sunlight, sucking dry air all day long. Of course we're getting sick, right? We stopped going outside, we stopped seeing the sun. So like, if you can just add a little bit of supplementation, also NAC, big fan of if I start going down, feeling something in the chest, I'll pop some NAC along with the vitamin D. I'll go really high on the vitamin D. I'll go like, 2,000 to 3,000, 4,000 IUs.
Aaron, you got a question?
I've done 20 to 30,000 IUs.
Well, if it gets to a certain point, it becomes a testosterone booster.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't know what the point is.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like I know it's being used in some test boosters at a high ratio.
Yeah,
because it's found to increase it by now minuscule, like 2 to 5%.
Yeah,
but in a natural person, 2 to 5% from a vitamin.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad.
I'm telling you, it's supposed to be toxic because it's oil based, but with the lack of vitamin D we get here in Canada, like it changed my life for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah. Mindset. Everything.
Did you do that intravenously, or did you?
No, I found a tablet that was 10,000 IUs a tablet.
Wow. Goodness gracious.
Wow. How do you feel? How do you feel?
That's drinking the
like. How did you? Yeah.
Well, so I was suffering from depression from 2020 to 2023. And it's gone.
Wow, amazing.
So it's definitely helped with that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, hormone support. It's great that we're seeing a lot of that be promoted for women, right? There's been a massive rise of, especially kind of the rise of perimenopause and education around perimenopause, and just hormonal shifts and what women can do from a supplementation perspective, from a sleep and recovery perspective, from a protein intake perspective, right? That all really, really good quality stuff. And for men, I mean, we've always known that, somewhere in around that 40, 45, 50 years old, you start to see little dips.
Depends on the person, but yeah.
Totally. But I think there's a ton of things that we can do naturally as men to keep these levels high. I always have believed that a body under stress, and not, I use the word like hormetic stress, so, self-imposed stress, will respond positively to stress, like to real stress over time, right? So, lift something heavy, jump in some cold water, but put yourself into some version of hormetic stress regularly over time. Your sleep, that's something, I mean, as a young dad, I'm sure you can recognize, like, oh man, sleep is like an elusive thing some days. But that, when I get consistent and I follow the Whoop, you get a Whoop, like when I follow this data on sleep consistency, man, it changes the game on my recovery. My HRV levels go through the roof, right?
I do agree with that. Yeah. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode. I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to one of our sponsors for the podcast, Methylene Blue. You can find this at Paradigm Supplements. We like to use it here at the podcast just because it helps with gut health, immune system, ATP performance. Use code GETALPHA15 for a little bit of money off. Other than that, let's get back to the episode. That sleep is one of the. It's funny because it's like it's so important. It's like that's how you recover, but it's like the thing that we try to sacrifice the most. And I guess there's seasons, right? Yeah. There's times where like, no, we got to stay up and we got to get this done. But when it's sacrificed more than not, I think that's a little dangerous, right? So, and I think too with what you said about like the protein and stuff like that, I think it's a little bit different too because I feel like as men, like. Especially if you're becoming active, we're taught at a very young age, it's like protein. So it's like kind of like, we got this, And it's just like, it's nice. And I still think we need to push it a little bit more, but it's nice to see women not being afraid of protein.
Yep.
Adding more proteins, seeing that like there's so many benefits of high protein diet, right? One, at a certain point, it becomes a little bit of like a thermal effect on your body. Obviously, satiates hunger. Like, are you really hungry, or you just need more protein in your diet? Right? So all these things I think are good that women are starting to learn. But like I posted a funny meme the other day, and it was a female trainer saying like it was two eggs, and she's like, "This is 12 grams of protein." Like you think you're having protein because you have 2 eggs.
Yeah.
You need a little bit more as
Yeah.
a woman specifically.
Yeah.
Because they say generally a woman needs around 100 grams or so, depending on the body weight and everything.
Yeah.
So have you seen a little bit more knowledge and more women taking that high protein kind of diet more seriously?
The girls in my life eat steak, man.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing. I love it. Like, you know, yeah, I think culturally we've seen in the health industry is disproportionately markets disproportionately to women, right? And we've seen kind of an evolution of, you know, probably our mother's generation of the Jenny Craig slim fast, drink your calories,
Salads.
Yeah, salad eating, you know, like you got to be a lady type of thing. And I have seen that pendulum shift so far where, you know, I think things like, I think they're really positive. Things like High Rocks, where you've got this massive boom of obstacle course racing,
whatever
stuff
it is, yeah.
that all these women are dialing in from a strength and cardio perspective for, right? And understanding the importance of protein. Like I said, the education around perimenopause, that you've seen that on the rise, and like these strong women that are kind of taking on that. So yeah, that's a very cool cultural shift. Like for us, Northern Raised, we see it a lot. Like our consumer is, you know, that 35 to 45-year-old strong, fit, you know, maybe mother, you know, or woman that wants to get, you know, cares about where her food's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get the bros, and you know, like
it's a little easier for guys to do it. They're like, "Ooh, that's a good steak,"
right?
You know,
right.
it's a little bit easier.
That's culture. That's a messed up thing. That's a cultural thing. That's got nothing to do with gender. That's got everything to do with culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see that shift.
Yeah. Okay, so on August 20th, you posted on your Instagram that 6 days, 50 humans, 200K steps, that's a lot of steps, sunsets, dinners, Muskoka dance parties, breathwork, masterminds, deep healing, food, so much food, my heart is full, and my feet are tired. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I've had a very unique opportunity to help facilitate people in their wellness journeys, and obviously through food. Mm-hmm. And I have a passion for trying to connect people with their personal well-being through the food on their plate, right? That is my deep.
You're a great cook, man. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna do it like that too.
Thank you. And that's been, you know, an interesting opportunity that's popped up for me, where I had a number of really cool opportunities to build my skills as a chef and as a facilitator, to help add the fuel to people on their wellness journey. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, part of my world is acting as a private chef, as a facilitator that brings in and manages food for just some really, really cool experiences, man. And it's always, you know, a beautiful cottage setting somewhere in Muskoka, or, you know, with awesome people. They're a ton of work, but it's kind of a nice ancillary piece of our business. It's a great passion project for me to, you know, show up and be able to educate people live with food. It's one thing talking behind a screen or having a conversation, right? But if you can be in somebody's kitchen and be working alongside people and be like, guys, all of the food that you're going to eat this weekend is real single ingredient food. Mm-hmm. There is nothing processed. I have made everything from scratch. My team has done all of this for you, right? Mm-hmm. And help people, show people that this is not hard. You know, it's such a beautiful experience. And my line when I share this is that food is my love language. Mm-hmm. And I want you to experience my love language, right? Yeah. This is me, you know, giving to you in the way that I know, because, you know, the origin of Northern Raised, man, it was like me thinking about all the best experiences in my life and the happiest times of my life. They're always involved with food, right? And good food. It's not, yeah, we've had the nights out eating McDonald's at 3 a.m. Who hasn't? That's the stuff that the memory fades on that. It's the great dinners with friends that have always stuck with me. And so, yeah, it's a cool piece of my business. It fills me from a heart perspective. It allows me to, I guess, shamelessly, but also seamlessly promote our business and our beliefs and our ethos around food, and just give people a great experience and make some cool steaks too.
Yeah, the steaks are bomb. Okay, so I know if somebody here hasn't heard your first episode, which I think people should, so when it comes to Northern Raised Meats, what standards do you look for when picking farms? What's your non-negotiable?
Yeah, so we talked about this earlier. So the 4 questions we ask: is it natural? Is it sustainable? Is it ethical? And is it local? Right? And we break those down kind of on a value proposition. We ask those questions every time we work with a new supplier, right? So as I mentioned, trying to find animals that are raised in a species-specific environment, asking questions about the sustainability of the overall farming operation, the locality. Obviously, it's pretty easy work just to figure out where it's coming from, and the transparency that we have to make sure that a consumer knows where it's coming from. And then the ethics around it as well, right? How are the animals being treated? Are we honoring the process of taking a life in order to fuel our own, right? So that's what we live by.
What's been the hardest part of building like a meat delivery company in Canada? What's a couple obstacles or red tape you've had to jump through?
Maybe changing the consumer mindset. As much as people demand transparency, they also have a default to just like head to the grocery store, and so kind of like working to help educate the consumer to be like, hey, you believe in eating great food, we have an option for that. Move your buying habits away from the grocery store. Let us kind of take care of that. I have 101 war stories for you about all the come up stuff. I mean, this started in my backyard, man. Started in my backyard. We were blessed to, move to a shared warehouse space, then to our own, warehouse. And, those little, just every late night, every little.
It's part of the entrepreneur journey though.
It is.
But it makes it so much more worth it.
It is a ton of fun, man.
What is fitness nutrition world? What does the fitness nutrition world get wrong about eating well? And what do you think we're overcomplicating?
Yeah, well, I mean, you nailed the word. We're overcomplicating it. So we're getting wrong that it's expensive. We're getting wrong that it is complicated, right? Eating well can be done on a reasonable budget, right? I understand meat is going through the roof. There are ways to do it economically, right? You can buy the chicken breast or you can buy the whole chicken. And when you buy the whole chicken, you've got meat for 4 or 5 people for 2 days, right? I can show you how to take that carcass and make a stock and turn that into a soup that's going to feed you for the next 2 days.
Utilizing everything.
Everything, right? So let's think about, from a cost perspective, there are ways to get great protein packed meals, simple whole food ingredients. It's the processed food that is costing you not only in dollars but in calories, right? They're empty calories going in that keep you hungry or keep you full for this long, and then you're back buying it again. That's why it's expensive, right? Because it didn't serve you in the first place. If you think that broccoli looks expensive this week, understand that those calories are going to fuel you 2 times what the Smart Pop bag of Smart Pop or whatever you bought, right? So kind of equating value and cost in the food equation, I think, is really important. And then when it comes to the preparation and execution of it, I mean, I'm a young dad. At the best of times, I've got 30 to 40 minutes before my children eat me alive, right? They'll start gnawing on table legs. I got to get dinner out fast. Don't got the time to do it. Every single thing I cook is probably done in about 20 to 25 minutes, has 4 to 5 ingredients, has the most skill that you possibly need is maybe how to sear a nice steak, if you really wanted to go to some level. But the majority of my dinners, we call them pan dinners, right? Where it's 1 baking tray, some parchment paper, 2 to 3 complex carbs, starch sources, and a protein. And you stick that in the oven all at the same time, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, pepper, spice, whatever you got, marinate your meat if you got the time for it. And that's healthy meals. Always make leftovers because that's just going to instill healthy habits.
For sure.
And the execution of that is incredibly, incredibly simple.
If you could get the average person to change one thing about the way they eat, something simple but meaningful, what would it be?
The reduction of ultra-processed food, hands down. As I said, we've got children eating 50% of their diet coming from ultra-processed foods. That's a problem. Eat real food.
What's something you're still working through personally that people don't see on social media?
I think probably what we started the conversation with, the multifaceted aspects of my life and trying to ground those in my personal integrity and find the balance between peace and chaos.
If someone is trying to get leaner, stronger, and healthier, how would you build that plate for them?
So you want to focus, again, on whole foods. single ingredient whole foods. You want to prioritize protein as your dominant macronutrient. Aim for about 1 gram per pound of body weight. You want to not ignore carbs and fats. They are your fuel source. There is a time and a place for a carnivore diet or a lean diet, but focus on carbs and fats that will give you the longevity and the energy that you need to stick to a diet plan. And along with the point of sticking to a diet plan, find something that you are actually going to do, right? There is nothing better than a plan that you will actually execute. You can have the biggest plans in the world. If you are not going to execute them, then really what's the point? Find the thing that's sustainable for you, that's manageable for you over a long period of time. I'm a big proponent of kind of what I've sort of formulated in my mind about taking small steps over a period of time in line with some sort of greater purpose. So we're looking for small actions, small behavior changes. We're multiplying that, or we're taking that over a time period that is not. It's not next week. It's not 2 weeks from now. This is a marathon. We are in life as a marathon. Take those small actions, compound them over time, and then multiply that entire process by some type of internal purpose, right? What is your why? For me, it's to be the best father that I can be for my kids. It's to be the best man that I can be for myself, as a friend, as a son, as a husband, as a father. So thinking about how that relates to my life, that's my why. If you can multiply the habit stacking against like something greater, I believe that delivers exponential results in your life.
I do agree with that. What's an underrated protein source?
An underrated protein source. Are steaks underrated? That's an overrated protein source, right?
Yeah. We all know steaks are like
we all know steaks.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I'd have to think about that. An underrated. Oh, I got a great one for you. My little like go-to snack that not everybody messes with, but I think is super underrated: sardines.
Oh no, man! I can't do no sardines. I can't do no sardines, bro. Nah, man.
Get on it, man. Nutrient dense, packed full of just like a million different micronutrients.
I'm sure. I'm not going to argue against that one, but the idea of cracking open a can of sardines is like not there for me yet. Not yet.
Get it with a side of some scrambled eggs or something like that, man. A little bit of fruit. Yeah. Take
maybe one day, and if I do, I'll send you a photo.
Please do.
So last time we chatted, you were speaking about your father, and this stood out to me like instantly, and you told me that your dad was a Titan. I remember you said that. And I've always, I don't know why that resonated with me so much, but talk to me about why you saw your father as a Titan. And do you still see him like that today?
Yeah. Ooh, man, he just got me right in the
yeah,
right here. Yeah. My dad is a Titan. There's that great quote about strong men and create
I know what you mean.
Good times, good times.
I think it's strong men create good times, but good times create weak men, and strong men.
Weak men create bad times.
And weak men create bad times, and and then it's a cycle all over again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was raised by a strong man. I am trying to be a strong father. When we talk about solving the problem of masculinity and men opening up and getting life right and just feeling good in themselves, it's Men's Mental Health Month this month. The stats from the Movember organization say that we are losing a man every single minute to suicide. Of the men that we are losing every minute, 20 other ones try to take their lives. So 20 dudes every single minute attempt suicide. One of them are successful every single minute. We have a problem that is being unrecognized in this world about the internal emotional condition of men because of the way that society has created a toxicity around masculinity and pushed men to the fringe and asked us to be something different than we inherently are. And I can understand, I can empathize with where that comes from systemically, that perhaps you're dealing with men that have operated in some broken version of themselves. But for the guys like you and I that are trying to be a better version, being a father, having had or have a father who is a titan, having those role models in our lives and being those role models for the lives of men, that is solving these systemic problems, right? I'm incredibly blessed to have a dad that provided everything for me and modeled so many amazing things, and I wouldn't be who I am today without that influence, right? And so I think that's just some sense of motivation for me, or a piece of gratitude that I can say thank you for that path, setting out that path to show me what is possible in terms of being a man, so that I can be that for my kids.
There's a I'm quote bombing right now, but there's a quote that resonates with me also, and it's basically there comes a time where your kids stop looking at you as a parent, but as a person, because they start having that adult mind. So always keep on working on yourself, so you can not only be the best parent, but the best person. So I guess my question to you is, when did you start seeing your father as a person, as a man, not just as your father?
I think when I became a father, there was that wake up moment where it all became really clear. I was like, oh, right, this is what you were carrying, right? This is the experience that you were having, building your own business. I get emotional talking about this, man.
What building did he have his own business?
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, dive into that a little bit more. What business?
Yes, my dad was a lawyer.
Okay.
And built a legal practice over 30 or 40 years. And was self-made in that regard, right? And I think there's the idea that nobody knows the amount of weight that a man is carrying in his mind at any one given time. You and I are here sitting having a beautiful conversation, but as much as I'm present here and as much as you're present here, if we were to really be honest and unpack this, there are a million things bombing through our minds that we are holding. You got big shoulders, man. You can carry it, and I see you carrying the weight that you carry for building a business, a gym, a community, being a father, all of these things, right? I see that in you, acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge that for you, man, because that's incredible that you're doing it, and we're all doing that same thing. And so I think the moment for me was becoming a father, and then realizing what my dad had shouldered, right? And the complexity that sits, in holding all of that in one.
That's beautiful, man. It's I definitely agree with you, but I have a different side in a negative but positive way. So I was raised by a single mom and my grandmother, right? So my mom, and I guess my dad had me when they were 17. So when I have my daughter, it's just the times that I'm tired, or I want to be on my phone to either decompress or go to work, and it's just it's that I'm this is the decision that he would have made, or that he did make, to not be part of a child's life. So it's that seeing him as a person, you know what I mean? Because when I was younger, it was very much of I was always trying to live up to something that wasn't there. A coach, you asked me to jump, how high? You know what I mean? Any male figure, I push forward 1,000%. And it's just interesting because now I see my father as just a sad man. You know what I mean? And it's just and it just makes me think I'm starting to see him more. I always joke around. It's because when you joke around, whatever, I don't like that person, I hate that person. I always joke around, I only hate one person. I used to say that for a long time in my life. I only hate one person. And now I don't feel like that anymore. Since I have my daughter, I think it more of you were scared, you were sad, you didn't know how to do this. Nobody asked you to help or whatever. And I guess if we really want to go in depth, you rise up to the occasion of pressure, or you don't, right? And so I just find it interesting when I think that the part of my life that I'm in right now, I'm just looking at people. You know what I mean? I'm just looking at people and seeing them and trying to understand them quietly. A lot of the times when something bad happens to you from another person, it's like, well, what? Like, I know it's a joke, but it's like, who hurt you? You know what I mean? Unless it's something I did, but like, who hurt you? What's going on? You know, and I'm just male, female. I'm just right now in my life, I'm just looking at people.
How do you think the relationship, you talk about this moment of either you rise to the occasion or you don't, having had the experience in the relationship that you do with your father and seeing him in the light that you do, how has that impacted your decisions to rise to the occasion or be the person that you are?
Well, I definitely have a chip on my shoulder, right? I always have, I always will. But I think it's just, again, just more love, man. You know what I mean? And more just like I have a very hard time. I'm way better now, but I have a very hard time like being proud and being happy, because there's that initial thought of like, my father was completely selfish. He stepped on everybody's throats to get ahead. You know, so my father, I only found this out like 3 years ago, but he was going to play for Seattle for baseball as a pitcher, farm team, and he got into accident before he was going to go and broke both collarbones, and that's when he started becoming angry and whatever. So as an adult, as a kid, just like, why are you so angry? Why you hate me so much? As an adult, you feel like the world took everything away from you, and you see someone else, a kid, who has a world ahead of them, and you're taking that out on them, right? So I see it in a different way now, and it's just interesting because before, a big mantra I had before, like when I was younger, was if I was tired or was hungry for something like to do, it would be like I'm not him. I'm better, and I can do this, because I had a little bit of an identity crisis, because everybody on my father's side is named the exact same fucking name. So my father's name is Norman Antonio Burgos, my grandfather Norman Antonio Burgos, and then me, Norman Antonio Burgos. So it's just like, and there was a lot of comparisons to me to him. So it's just like, I truly felt, I still feel to a certain degree, but I'm working through it, that like the sins of the father do get passed down to the son. And I do have more of a feeling and responsibility to break that cycle. You know what I mean?
If we were to fast forward 20 years and your daughter was sitting in a podcast studio and she was speaking to a host.
Yeah.
And that host asked
She's going to be that famous, eh?
Yeah, I'm sure she will, knowing her dad. If a podcast host were to ask her, who is your dad? What things has he modeled for you? What human, how has he shown up for you? What do you think she'd say, or what would you want her to say?
Oh man, you're gonna make me tear up. You're an asshole. I would just want her to say that I'm a good person. That's it.
Yeah,
that's all that would matter to me.
Yeah.
So what's the one thing you're currently learning about yourself?
Let's sit with it, man. Because you asked me at the beginning of this conversation. I'll hold us to integrity. You asked me at the beginning of this conversation what it is to fix the problem with masculinity, right? And what it is, and I told you that it's the vulnerability for you and I to sit here and talk about this stuff, right? And so I think it's like, we don't have to get into, having a crime festival.
Yeah. It's fine.
About us, because I know it would destroy us both.
Musty and misty in here.
I know it would destroy us both. But let's honor it, man. Let's honor that we are creating legacy for our children, that we are showing up for our kids, that matters, that the work that we put in now to become better versions of ourselves ripples in time, right? It's like the Gladiator quote or whatever, right?
Of course.
So, just for whatever it's worth, man, I see you as that dad. I see you, and I can hear what your daughter would say about you. I hope that my sons would do the same for me, right? And I think that's that multiplication of purpose, right? That's the thing where it's like you and I habit stack with the best of them, right? I guarantee that if I gave you a plan to execute, you'd be on it. Coach, jump how high, right? But the multiplication of purpose is what makes you a great man, right? It's that thing that looks at your daughter and goes, I am here to change the Norman Antonio Burgos line, right? I'm here to do this differently. I'm here to show up for you in a different way. So I just acknowledge that for you, man. Thanks,
I appreciate that.
For sharing it.
before I asked the question that I did before, we talked a little bit about how like men can support other men.
Yeah.
But I know I'm putting you a little bit in the hot seats, but I think you can handle it. What do you think women can do to support men with these issues with them with suicide and stuff like that? What do you, your personal opinion?
That's a good question. I mean, honor the masculine.
Mm-hmm. What does that look like, though?
Yeah, this is kind of complex, right? So, okay, so I believe inherently that within each one of them is to define the terms, right? But within each one of us, we have a masculine and feminine polarity, right? So I am not all masculine. I have, a softness to me, right? And then if you take that as an individual and you transport that into a relationship dynamic, right? We need to find equilibrium or balance, right? And the body is always looking for homeostasis. It is always looking for some state of balance. As it stands right now, societally, we are masters at overcorrecting, right? Hard turn this, hard turn that. We miss the nuance of the small, subtle corrections that will find us and wind us up in some sense of balance. We suck at it as humans. And it's everywhere you look, right? And so when you think about the relationship between men and women, whether it's relationally, whether it's societally, I think it's about making small corrections that recognize the power in the other and recognize the humanness and the strengths and the capabilities in the other, and being confident and willing to sit back in your own strengths and power, right? And so trying to find some type of balance. So for women, it's honoring that masculine to say, look, you are inherently built to be a provider, a builder, a leader. I'm going to honor that in you. Does that mean that I sacrifice my own dreams and my own life and, put all that aside for the man and bow down? No, that's not what that means at all. Again, we're finding a balance. What it should mean is that you recognize as a woman that you have a beautiful gift as a nurturer, as someone that can hold, that can create life and sustain society. And the man should honor that for you. And let's do that at a societal level. Let's do that at a relationship level, that we can kind of achieve some sort of balance. So I think for the women, it's like, yeah, recognize that in the men in your life. Call them out to that. Like call them into that higher version of yourself. Don't let dudes push you around because they're broken and they're just trying to like flex on you because that's what the world has told them is cool or whatever. Don't accept it. Like accept better or demand better from the men in your life. Pull them into places of vulnerability while honoring their process. Don't ask your man to be a woman, right? Like don't ask him to feminize himself, but ask him to be emotionally vulnerable in strength, right? And say, hey, you are as strong as they come. I want you to show me the emotion. I want you to give me a glimpse into what you're carrying and how you got to be as strong as you are, right? Little subtle things like that, I think in that kind of masculine feminine balance can really, really shift the needle.
I think you said that very, very well.
Well, that's a 10-hour podcast for sure.
Just on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last thing, what's next for you, man?
Yeah, what's next, man?
What's the next chapter you're stepping into?
I think it's a chapter welcoming in peace, the balance between peace and chaos. I think it's a great overarching, theme for the conversation, right? It's taking some ownership of that and being okay with it, like stepping into being like, okay, I can handle this amount of chaos and I also deserve this amount of peace, right? From a business perspective, we're going to keep growing. That's the fun part of it.
Yeah.
We got a great plan ahead of us in terms of, what the future holds. My personal commitments, again, from the level of being a dad, being a man, those haven't really changed, right? It's just like, it's multiplication of those things. It's just keeping myself in check, keeping myself in integrity, right? Like knowing when I kind of like, slip off, being a little bit better at listening, right?
Yeah.
Don't wait till things yell, like, just like be a little bit more in touch with that voice of God to help, kind of steer my life and my path. Just keep on, being a little bit better tomorrow than I was today.
I love that. Where should they reach out to you? Your handles.
Instagram is great. Yeah. So zach.langlois on Instagram. I'm sure we'll do all the tags and stuff.
We will.
Northernraised.ca is a great place to find the business, and open to connect with anybody that feels like it somehow resonates, that I can be of any help.
I love it. And then you're starting the new season next year?
Yeah, in the next couple of months.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'll start to like build a bit of a list. So yeah, we'll share some stuff there, and
I love that.
I'm sure maybe I'll switch roles.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I'd be honored to be on your podcast, man.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, if you guys are listening, please share through Spotify. It helps everything in the profile. We're hitting 100 episodes soon. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. It helps so much with the little channel that we are. But other than that, we love you guys. I hope you enjoy. Ciao.